Have you ever wanted to learn a new language or an instrument or a new skill, but someone's come along and said, well, actually, it would have been a lot easier to learn that as a kid? Lola is snoring so loud right now. Wake up, you're snoring way too loud. For this episode, Lucas and I are each going to learn a new skill that we've always wanted to learn, but kind of figured we were too old to do so.
You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
So Lucas is going to learn a backflip in 30 days, and I'm going to try to learn the saxophone. Genuinely, you guys, whenever somebody asks, like, what's that thing that you've always wanted to do? For me, it's the saxophone. Like, if I go to a concert, I'm like, I need that to be me. Like, I want to be them. I want to be them. I beg of you, universe, to make that me. Have I ever picked up a saxophone? No, literally never. Do I know anything about a saxophone? No. Am I musical? Like, kind of, not really. I played the piano for like 2 years when I was 7. Yeah, I'm really going off on nothing here. I just want to be Lisa Simpson.
I have problems too.
Is Lucas too old to learn a backflip? And am I too old to learn the saxophone? Let's find out.
9-1, fourth pinch.
Day 1. Lucas and I would be having our first ever lessons.
We're headed to the Monkey Vault. It's day 1. Day 1 of 30.
No. I think they gave me lip chap.
I just want to see how we're moving today. If you could run to the other side of the lane and back, and let's get started.
Step 1, my embouchure. The way your mouth fits on the mouthpiece.
Okay, so for now, we're gonna
And assessing Lucas's box jump.
again on the way up and on the way down.
We were both just trying to get a feel of what we were doing.
And try not to just hinge the hips, but to jump by driving the knees up. Nice. Okay, that's starting to connect really well.
Keep going. Okay, so let's flash back to you as a newborn. You've got 86 billion neurons. But the problem is, for the most part, they're not connected. But when you have an experience, a process takes place called synaptogenesis, in which neurons form paths between each other called synapses. And on these synapses, neurons share information in the form of electrical currents.
We are confident with our throw enough that we could throw our knees directly past the target and make it every time.
This ability of our brain to physically change based on our experience is called neuroplasticity, and it's kind of the basis of learning.
Okay, well done.
In our early years, this process is rapid. You're forming about 1 million neural connections a second. In fact, a 2-year-old's brain is 20% smaller than an adult's brain, but it has 50% more synapses. How is this possible that a toddler's brain has more connections than an adult? Not only is your brain making connections, it's also getting rid of them in a process called synaptic pruning. As we grow, your brain is trying really hard to be more efficient. And so, if it thinks a connection is weak or not that useful, it'll get rid of it altogether. This all makes kids amazing learners. But what does that say about adults? Do we suck at learning? 1, 2,
Okay.
3.
Harder for height to bring our legs further in distance, right?
Good. Which means the only thing we really need is
1, 2.
Our...
C. What's the C?
The only thing we really need is...
How do I make it go?
I mean, this isn't... It's not... Like, your hips need to be over your head.
Despite our old brains, we managed to make some good progress. Even cameraman Max was doing parkour. But we still had a long way to go.
1, 2, 3, 4.
First lesson in the books. Today's day 5, and I I don't know if I put it together wrong, but it is not going well. I can't make the sound anymore. I did something wrong. Ah. Whether it felt like it or not, I was learning. But was there a way for me to learn better, more efficiently? That's when I realized I've never actually learned how to learn.
My name's Dr. Leela Landowski, and I'm a neuroscientist and lecturer at the University of Tasmania. It's a bit surprising to think that we don't get taught how to learn. We just kind of do it intuitively. But now there's a lot of emerging neuroscience that tells us there are ways that we can learn faster and more effectively. You know, when you're trying to learn something new, there's a few different principles that we need to keep in mind, and they are attention, alertness, sleep, repetition, breaks, and mistakes.
It makes a lot of sense that you need to be alert and focused if you're going to retain information.
Anyone? The tariff bill, did it work? Anyone?
One easy thing you could do to improve your alertness is exercise.
Studies have shown that 20 minutes of exercise can improve your alertness for 2 to 4 hours afterwards, which is a fantastic, tool that you can use if you're trying to learn something new.
And it doesn't have to be anything wild. Even a 20-minute walk before you learn something is going to help your neuroplasticity. But what about after you learn?
We always think that we're learning when we're doing the task, but actually we're learning and our brain is rewiring itself when we're sleeping. Sleep is actually the busy part. That's when those short-term memories are getting consolidated and turned into long-term memories, and those changes are actually happening. And if you don't sleep, then you don't retain that information. In fact, you just forget it. It gets lost. It gets completely eroded away. That's the reason why practicing over multiple days and sleeping in between is really important.
I'm nervous to play for you. I don't know why. Because I'm a teacher. Yeah.
It's not only important to space your learning with sleep, but also breaks. New memories are really vulnerable to getting lost. So as soon as you're done learning something, your brain starts to subconsciously work on organizing that information.
Why is it
Tammy's using my saxophone to see if my saxophone's bad or if I'm bad.
We know that in adults, it's really important to at least take an hour's break if possible, but if not, 10 to 20 minutes break after learning something, just to allow your brain to actually replay that information.
By the way, this means don't go on your phone. Instead, take a nap, meditate, or do something mundane around the house. Something that isn't going to take up too much energy in your brain while it's subconsciously working.
Jump, tuck, land. Jump, tuck, land. Jump, tuck, land.
Jump tuck.
Jump, tuck, land.
When you're repeating something, it's basically flagging to your brain that this is something that keeps coming up in your life, therefore it is important, and therefore the brain should probably invest energy in refining those connections so that way it can be more efficient later in the future.
Oh, it's exhausting though. It wasn't the starting I was saying.
After we make a mistake, we release all these neurochemicals like noradrenaline, which make you feel a bit agitated. But they're doing that for a reason. They're doing that to improve your attention so you don't make another mistake. It's telling our brain, hey, pay attention, you made a mistake, we need to change and do better. And it's opening up this brief window of neuroplasticity. If you make a mistake and then you feel anxious and you walk away, you're actually teaching your brain to be less able to cope with failure.
I'm scared now. I can't do it.
That's the thing. That's why you need to do it right after.
So whatever you do after that mistake, your brain is ready to be a sponge and to learn.
So it was the final week, and aside from Lola, everyone was really loving this experiment. Even my mom couldn't believe it. But something was missing. A band. So Lucas and I set off to Massey Hall to see one of my favorite local bands, Big Smoke Brass. As usual, I had the time of my life. But after, I got a crazy idea. I reached out to them and asked them to jam with me. And even more crazy, they said yes. We have got Big Smoke Brass in the house, and I'm gonna show them some of what I've been working on. I was starting to feel a little in over my head. I mean, these were professional musicians. Yeah, we're gonna rock it. Can you teach an old dog new tricks? Or was I about to absolutely humiliate myself? Whew, I'm glad because I'm really nervous. Jeez.
We're nervous too.
All right, we're here with Big Smoke Brass, which I'm really pumped about. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the No Brainer stage, as we like to call it.
We've been a band for almost 8 years now, so since the May of 2017.
Can you guys all read music? You all went to music school? It's hard. Are these called altissimos?
No.
Basically, I've just been putting my wheels to the ground, and I'd love to kind of show you guys what I've been working on. We're just warming up. Just give me a second here.
So the nerves, well, they were nerving. And I was worried I wasn't going to be able to pull this off. Turns out playing in front of a group of people is a lot different than just Lola. But then Zach said something that changed my perspective.
One of the ways that you get more experience and get better at a new language is being around native speakers, right? Participating in conversation, listening to other people who are experienced at it. Music is exactly the same way.
Okay, let me get into it. Lola. Okay, hold on.
Lolo.
No, okay, no, I know that's a sharp.
Maybe it was never about being perfect to begin with. I didn't need to prove anything. In fact, this experience was just another part of my learning.
That top note sounded really nice.
Really?
And they felt like I was ready to jam or groove. You said groove?
Yeah, we're picking a groove for you, yeah.
This is my first jam.
And so if you play, you can just use that scale. Anything will sound good.
So I can use that D scale I've been using?
Yeah, so here, I'll show you a little bit what that might sound like. That's it.
30 days later, and I was jamming on the saxophone with an actual band. If you would have told me I would get here in a month, I wouldn't have believed you. Even Lucas managed to land his backflip without a spotter and started working on a side flip and a front flip. So let this be your sign to try that thing you've been putting off. I promise you it's worth it.
Yep.
Trade.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a conversation.
Okay.
Where I'll play a little.
Yep.
And then you'll play a little. So you'll say something, I'll say something, we'll take our turns.
Okay.
You wanna go first?
Okay. Okay.
Come on.
And if you do want to learn something new, surround yourself with people who speak the language.
We all have to practice, every day, almost every day. It still takes practice, and we're all trying to get better as well. It's a lifelong journey.
Long tones, really just time spent doing it. I went through a big period when I was first learning where I would play one note for like an hour.
We think of it as a language.
But I was just getting started. Not only was I able to jam, but they taught me some notes from one of their songs. And I think I'm officially part of the band.
So it's absolutely possible to learn across the lifespan. You know, we're constantly strengthening and creating these new connections in our brain, and that happens at every stage of life, not just at childhood. It is harder, but I would also argue that one of the reasons why neuroplasticity drops off over time is because, you know, we've figured out our way in the world. And when we challenge ourselves and when we're doing something different, then we are reopening those windows of neuroplasticity. So it's not just about creating that great environment for our brain to learn and adapt, but it's also changing the experiences and the world that we are in. I guess the good news is that you can be better at anything you are in this moment if you set yourself up for success with learning.
That was